So now we're going to start the teaching. So I'll give you an outline on what we try to achieve today. So first, we are in the Eastertide. So we're going to look at a message on the resurrection, on the risen Christ, and how those souls living in the divine will reflect the risen Lord, his state, his glorious state. So we're going to look at that. And then after we've done that, after we look at that, we see what does that mean to us to live as the risen Christ, to live his risen humanity. Then we're going to go into considering the light in the divine will. If I go and search the word light in the volumes, I don't know, I didn't try. I would say it will come with hundreds of entries. It's all over the place. So we're going to look at what does the light of the divine will mean, okay? And then once we've done that, Father Pat will come and give us his testimony and his teaching, and then you can ask him questions if you wish. And that will take us to the lunchtime, to our lunchtime, 12:30. Then in the second session, we will look at the sons that are formed in the soul. And then we will consider the practical rounds, how the rounds, doing our rounds and a prayer in the divine will increase these sons that are formed. And we will look practically what it means. And I also today I have a treat for you. I'm a very visual person, so today I brought in something to illustrate the journey of the soul from the birth, from conception, and hopefully in the center of the divine will. So hopefully we do that, please God. Okay, so let's start with the resurrection. So first, the words of Our Lady from the book of Virgin Mary in the Kingdom of the Divine Will, day 28. What did she say? She said, I was waiting for that resurrection. She had the faith. She's the anchor of the church. Everybody went away, but not Our Lady. She knew about the resurrection. She did not want to announce it. She was waiting for Mary Magdalene to come and bring the good news, even though the Lord appeared to her first, appeared to Our Lady first, but she kept that news. But they could see, the apostles could see her face radiant with light. They could see that mourning of the suffering of Christ is turned into a glorious sun. So she says, I so yearned to see him risen that in my ardent love I kept repeating, rise my glory, arise my life. Rise my glory, arise my life. And then she goes on to say, when he risen, he was cloaked with majesty, and from his divinity united to his humanity, his soul unleashed enchanting seas of light and beauty that filled heaven and earth. Then, triumphantly making use of his power, he commanded his deceased humanity to receive his soul again and rise triumphant and glorious to immortal life. So imagine that scene. Jesus comes in his soul in the sepulchre, where his humanity, wounded and bruised, lying there, wrapped with the shroud. You know, that big shroud, wrapped with that big shroud. So he comes there accompanied by the souls from limbo. So he's accompanied by the soul of Saint Joseph, by the souls of Joachim and Anne, the parents, by the soul of Abraham, Moses, by the souls of the Old Testament, all these souls that they could not go to heaven yet. They were held in a place waiting for the Lord to rise. So he's accompanied by millions and millions of souls. He's there and they're all witnessing his humanity reduced. And Our Lady says to us, he commanded his humanity, his body, to receive his soul again. And his light and his soul unleashed seas of light. And we know that's not just, it wasn't just spiritual that raises humanity to glorious state. It was actual physical light, because that light that shone when his soul united with his body was so powerful that it imprinted on the shroud the image, the shroud of Turin, the image of Christ just before, like taking a picture a moment before he's changed. So it showed us what he went through, the wounds, so that light gave us like an image. So from the Shroud of Turin, we can tell so much about our Lord. So yeah, it's so powerful, that light that actually made an imprint on the actual shroud itself. Now let's go to the entry, volume 12, April 15, 1919. So let's read it. Right, so I maintain this order. Now the Lord is speaking with Louisa about the order, how he does things. He's first speak about the order of creation. He says, it's my way of working to start with little and then build it up. So he says the same thing I've done with the creation. I created all the stars and the galaxies, etc. But I kept the sun for our earth. I kept it till the last. So he's trying to tell her this. He says, with my redemption, I did the same. I started with the minor work first, then gone to the major. So I maintained this order also in redemption. My birth was without a glamour. On the contrary, it was neglected. My childhood was without splendor of great things before men. My life in Nazareth was hidden, that I lived as if ignored by all. I adapted myself to do the littlest and most common things of the human life. During my public life, there were a few things that were great, but still, who knew my divinity? No one, not even all the apostles. Shocking, isn't it? Not even all the apostles. We read in Mark's Gospel how some hesitated, even at his resurrection, some hesitated to bow down and recognize him as God. Not even all the apostles. I passed through the crowds like any other man, so much so that anyone could come close to me, talk to me, and if indeed even despise me. Right, he didn't show his glory, right? He did not show his glory. He showed a little bit of glimpses of his glory at his transfiguration, where his divinity, the light of his divinity shone into his humanity. And he showed Peter, John, and James, only those three, his glory on the mount. And they heard God the Father say, this is my beloved Son. But apart from that, he did not show really, he showed his signs, miracles, but he was like any other man. Now, the portent of my redemption was the resurrection. The resurrection, which more than refulgent sun crowned my humanity, making even my littlest act shine with such splendor and marvel as to make heaven and earth to be astonished. It will be the beginning, the foundation, and the fulfillment of all goods, crown and glory of all the blessed. My resurrection is the true sun, which worthily glorifies my humanity. It is the sun of the Catholic religion. And as St. Paul tells us, if it wasn't for the resurrection, all what we know about Christ is false. We cannot, his resurrection proves he's the Son of God. He's the only one who can say to death, you will be death no more, but the beginning of life. He's the only one who can rise from the dead. He can order his humanity to come back to life. So without the resurrection, there is no Catholic faith. We have no proof that Jesus is the Son of God. So that's why he says it's the son of the Catholic religion. It is the glory of every Christian. Without the resurrection, it would have been as though heavens without sun, without heat, and without life. Now, my resurrection, now this is the important bit which applies to all souls who live in the divine will. Now, my resurrection is symbol of the souls who will form their sanctity in my will. So he means the soul who will receive the gift of the divine will and grow in it. The saints of these past centuries are symbols of my humanity. Do you see? The saints in the past, before 1889, before Louisa, the Lord opens the door for that gift to come to the world. Before that, they were symbols of his humanity before the resurrection. The souls from Louisa onwards who receive the gifts are symbol of his risen humanity, glorious humanity. So I repeat it. The saints of these past centuries are symbols of my humanity. Although resigned, they did not have continuous attitude in my will. Therefore, they did not receive the mark of the Son of my resurrection, but the mark of the works of my humanity before my resurrection. Therefore, they will be many, almost like stars. They will form for me a beautiful ornament to the heaven of my humanity. But the saints of the living in my will, hopefully all of you, and everyone listening who desires that gift and receive the knowledge of that gift and journeying in that gift. But the saints of the living in my will, who will symbolize my resurrected humanity, will be few. And Jesus says this in the volume several times. There will be few. And there will be few who will go to the center and grow from the center, really. Because they just cannot let him work fully. You know, they always want to get in the way. So there will be few. In fact, many throngs and crowds of people saw my humanity before its death, but a few saw my resurrected humanity. Only the believers, right? He didn't appear to everybody. He didn't go and appear to Caiaphas and Annas and you know the Roman centurion. He didn't go or appear to everybody. He only appeared Mary Magdalene, the believers, the apostles, to Thomas when he showed his hands and feet. He appeared to a group of people, not many, very few. Only the believers, those who were most disposed. And I could say only those who contain the seed of my will. In fact, if they did not have it, they would have lacked the necessary sight to be able to see my resurrected and glorious humanity, and therefore be spectators of my ascent into heaven. Now, if my resurrection symbolizes the saints of the living in my will, and this with reason, because each act, word, step done in my will is a divine resurrection that the soul receives, it is a mark of a glory that she undergoes. It is to go out of herself in order to enter the divinity and to hide within the refulgent sun of my volition. Volition is the action of the divine will. That's what he means, which is the divine will in action. And in it she loves, works, thinks. What is the wonder if the soul remains fully risen and identified with the Son of my glory? Symbolizes my resurrected humanity. But if you are those who dispose themselves to this, because souls even in sanctity, want something of their own good, while the sanctity of living in my will has nothing of its own, but everything is of God. And in order for souls to dispose themselves to this, to stripping themselves of their own goods, it takes too much. Therefore, there will not be many. You are not in the number of the many, but of the few. Therefore, be always attentive to the call and to your continuous flight. Powerful, isn't it? Really powerful. We could do the whole lesson just on that paragraph, on that entry. So at the end, he says there could be only few. Why? Because they're not disposed, they're not willing to let God be everything. Living in the divine world means forgetting self. The more you forget self, the more God can work. It's a swap with Jesus. It's like, Jesus, I'm going to think about you and your glory and the good of souls, and I'll leave you to think about me. It's a swap. I'm not going to, you care about me. You look after me, and I look after you, after your business. This is not a strange message. The mystics told us this. Saint Teresa of Avila, she said, the Lord told me, if you look after my business, I'll look after yours. Yeah? And look at Louisa. Did she lack anything? She was in bed. She lacked nothing. Nothing. She lacked nothing. She was in bed, bedridden, no bed sores, no illness, no physical illness whatsoever. No need for food even. No need to drink. I don't know if she's gone to the toilet. This I don't really know. We need to ask her Auntie Rosaria. She's the only one who would know. Well, I don't really know. But I mean, she had need for nothing. Clothes, no need for anything really. He looked after her completely.
In one of the pictures, there was a toilet roll.
Was it?
There was a toilet roll.
But it could be when she had her stigmata. It could be to wipe the blood. Anyway, I think Louisa must have gone to the toilet because she had to be the first one to divinize all the acts, and we all go to the toilet, so she must have gone to the toilet but through that argument. Anyway, so I'm just assuming. I don't really know, but could ask somebody closer to her. If you go to Korato, you could meet her family. You know, like her nephews, and right. Angela has been to Korato. She met them, right? I'm not sure if you. I've seen a picture, and Jennifer went to Korato.
Stepped off the train. The first person we met was one of her nieces.
One of her nieces, great nieces, yes? Yes, great nieces. Yeah, you could have asked them. This is a question. Anyway, I think she must have gone because she had to divinize everything, and this is something that needs to be divinized. So anyway, yes, so what were we talking about? Yes, the Lord looked after all her needs. So it's like a swap, you know. And I told you this in the past, and I speak from experience. I remember when I went to buy something, I need something like I need a new coat or a new jacket or a new something. So what do? I say to the Lord, you know, I don't want to think about myself. I'll leave you to decide on what you want me to wear, what you want your beloved to wear, and try that. I got the best thing on offer. Yes. Okay. I cannot guarantee the Lord will do this all the time, but He may give you a sign to show His love. He does give us signs every now and then to show us His divine love, because it's never a blind faith. Never a blind faith. Never. Yeah. Jesus now spoke about His humanity, but He strengthened his disciple on the Mount Tabor with his transfiguration. He showed them a sign of his divinity. He showed miracles. You know, it's never a blind faith. Yes, we need faith, but it's never a blind faith. So the same with the soul that lives in the divine world. It will be a continuous life of signs. Continuous life of signs that he will give. Of course, he lead each soul on a different path. And as our Mother Teresa of Avila says, no souls have the same journey, even by half. So each soul is different, but he must give signs, to some more, to some less, but he must show he's there. I'm there with you, don't worry. Beautiful. So being disposed, don't think about yourself. Think about him and his business, and he'll look after you. That's the message. Then you will live in his risen humanity. Risen humanity. And now we move into the theme of the light. So we're going to look at the entry from volume. Before that, I wanted to share with you what it means that we live in his risen humanity. What does it mean? So I took this small one from volume 11, November 27, 1930. My will is so great that whoever does it, okay, are you ready for this? Okay, be humble because it's Jesus' word. My will is so great that whoever does it can be called himself a God with a small g, a God of the earth. A God of the earth. Not my words, Jesus' words from the volumes. From volume 11. It's one of the volumes that received the imprimatur and nil obstat. So it's his word. My will is so great that whoever does it can call himself or herself a God of the earth. And just as my will forms the beatitude of heaven, these gods who do my will form the beatitude of the earth, form the happiness, the blessings of the earth. Why? Now he will explain. And those who are near them. Why? Because he's living in them. Because these divine lives that we spoke about in the last retreat, these divine lives are these Jesuses in the soul are the ones who are doing the work. That's why these souls are the blessed of the earth, because they are living hosts. They are walking tabernacle, taking Jesus everywhere. And that tabernacle is an expanding tabernacle. The number of hosts in that tabernacle is expanding at an exponential rate. Every day, that soul is living in the divine world. So every day, that soul is more Jesus, that more of the power of Jesus. That's why they can be called like gods of the earth. That's why all the blessing comes through them, because you're taking Jesus everywhere. There is no good that exists on earth which is not to be attributed to these souls, to these gods of my will, whether as direct or indirect cause. Everything is due to them, just as there is no happiness in heaven which does not come from me, so there is no good on earth which does not come from them. Wow. Wow. Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. And it's because of Jesus. It's because of Jesus working. It's because he found in these souls, humble souls. Humble souls. I repeat, humble souls. This gift is not for the proud. If anyone is doing work to show himself or herself, that person, I assure you, will not receive that gift. They may read the writings millions of times. They will not get it. Nothing will penetrate. nothing in the book of heaven will penetrate these souls unless there's the humility. These words of Jesus will not find a place. They are like a room with closed curtains where the light cannot penetrate, where there are thick blinds, not letting any light penetrate. Only in humility and reaching nothingness can God give that gift to the soul. Because he says, those who are humble will be exalted. He's the one who acts in it. And Jesus used to say to Louisa, you don't know, if you stop doing your rounds and act, you don't know what damage you will do. You know, I'm deciding the fate of the earth from your soul. You are my like control room, you know, the war control room where everything is controlled. I'm here, I'm in your office, deciding the fate of the earth from you, Louisa. It's incredible. And Padre Pio lifted that gift. So he was working in Padre Pio as well, big time in Padre Pio, because he received that gift. You know, he knew about Luis. They were close to each other. Well, they never visited each other physically, but by location, God knows how many times. But, you know, they knew each other. They used to write letters to each other. So, and in another entry, he says to us, he says, these souls are where the power resides, where my power resides. So they are the feet of the missionary. So imagine every missionary, the Lord in you, are giving them the love and the power to carry on their missionary work. They are the tongue of preachers. Everyone who preach and teach receive their power, graces through these souls living in the divine world. They are the strength of the weak. So that reminds me of what Saint Teresa of Lisieux said. She had the desire to be a priest. She had the desire to be a missionary. She had a desire to celebrate Mass, to be a sacristy, in the sacristy, prepare for Mass. She had the desire to be a catechist. She had the desire to be everything. She said, I want everything. I want to do everything. And she didn't know. She said, Lord, you put this desire in me. What does it mean? What does it mean? Am I being greedy? I want to do everything. I want to be a priest. I want to be a nun. I want to be a catechist. I want to be everything. So what does that mean, Jesus? And the Lord made her understand. Your vocation is love. You are the heart. A body without a heart is a dead body. The hands cannot work. The feet cannot walk. The eyes do not function. The lungs cannot breathe. The brain goes dead. You are the heart of the body. You are in everyone and everything. You pumping the blood to everyone. You taking the blood to everyone. Without you, there is no life. No missionary can preach. No priest can celebrate Mass. You are that soul who is the heart. And Saint Teresa of Lisieux, from her writing, I can tell that she lived in the divine world. The people debate about her because they don't have enough to, that's why Father Joseph did not include her there, because he doesn't have just enough to say, yes, I nailed that she lived in the divine world. But from writings, from what I shared with you, you can tell. Who would say such a thing and say that I love you with your own love if they don't have that gift? So yes, so this is it. This is it. This is what we are called to do. This is our office. This is what the Lord called us to do, to live as the risen humanity of Christ, to be the feet of the missionaries, the tongue of preachers, the hands of the priest, to empower everyone, or rather to let Jesus more and more empower everyone in us to let him work. And that takes us to our priest, Father Pat.